Hi, I hope you are doing well. Fill in the blanks reading. This is today's topic. However, I'm not here to tell you that you have to practice, because we simply all know that we need to practice this task properly. So, what I'm doing here today? Let's watch together to find out more. When it comes to fill in the blanks reading, I'm giving you 2 tips which will help you to get a higher score. And here I'm talking about using of grammar and context to help you select the right answer, even though you might not be familiar with the meaning of the word that you just selected. How to make it practical? Take a look at this example. So as you can see, we've got the passage and we have the gaps underneath. The first thing you have to do is scan the gaps. We've got pushing, effective, circumvents, profits, stakes, and encourages. Now, we need to solve the first gap. So let's together read the first sentence. The ordinance to raise the foreign capital cap in insurance from 26 to 49% is not the best way to do it, as we've got the gap, the parliament process. So what would be the answer? First, we have to use the grammar, yeah? So if you look at the word before the gap, it, the subject, it, this one is singular. So now we have to go back to the basic rule in English, the subject-verb agreement. When the subject is singular, the verb, let's say it comes with S, yeah? The verb ends with S. So now I need to check underneath the verbs that ends with S. I have 2 of them. I have circumvents and I have encourages. So now I only need to select one of those 2. So I have already increased the chance of getting the right answer. It is 50-50. So that's for the first tip. Now we have to employ the second one, which is checking the context so that we can decide which one is correct. Is it encourages or circumvents? At this stage, students could know the meaning of encourages, but circumvents could be tricky. So which one is correct? Here you have to check the context. If we read the phrase or the sentence just right before the gap, when they said, is not the best way to do it. This phrase, does it carry a positive or a negative meaning? Yes, you are right. You're thinking about it. It carries a negative meaning. So now, do you think a phrase that carries a negative meaning or something that carries a negative meaning would encourage? It would never encourage. So what would it do? Even if you don't know the meaning of circumvents, so now it works properly. This is how we're going to employ both of them to get the right answer, even though you don't know the meaning of the word circumvents. And by the way, circumvents means to avoid something illegally or cleverly. So that's one of the examples. Let's take a look at another example just to make sure that you are familiar with the approach. Again, we have another passage and the gaps underneath. Let's together scan the gaps quickly. Thought, cringing, measured, assuming, discarded, enjoying, consumption, calling. Let's start solving the first gap. Rather than gap. We are starting with the grammar tip. The grammar says when a sentence starts with rather than, then the next gap or the next word could be a verb. And the verb here, it is either a bare infinitive verb, like in the base form, or it could be a verb with ing. So now let's check the given options. Do I have verbs in the base form? I have none of them. I only have verbs with ing, and there are 4 of them. Cringing, assuming, calling, enjoying. So one of those 4 options is correct, and I need to know which one. Now we have to use the context method. First of all, we use rather than to give importance to one thing when 2 alternatives or preferences being compared. So if we keep reading the sentence, and especially the second part of the sentence, rather than gap at the next beetle or wasp in your way, you might want to thank them. You might want to thank them. So this is a positive phrase or a positive sentence. What would be the previous part of the sentence? It would be carrying a negative meaning. So checking the 4 verbs I've got, which one of them carries a negative meaning? Let's start solving one by one or eliminating them one by one. Can I say calling rather than calling at the next? It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. Can I say enjoying? Enjoying carries a positive meaning. Can I say assuming? It doesn't belong to this sentence. So I still have one option, which is cringing. But you might not be familiar with the meaning of cringing, even though it is the correct option, by the way. Cringing here works perfectly. It is the correct option. Rather than cringing at the next beetle or wasp in your way, you might want to thank them. And by the way, cringing means to avoid something or someone suddenly because of being frightened of it. So this is how we employ the context and the grammar to get the right answer, even though at some stages we might not be familiar with the meaning of the words that we are selecting. I hope you enjoyed this video and wait me with other videos. Thanks once again.